Arlington Cemetery.
Well, I've been here before. When my sons were about 8 or 9 years old, we asked them one time if they studied hard at school, we'd take them wherever they wanted to go at the end of the year. And they wanted to go to Arlington Cemetery, would you believe it? So we brought them here, the two boys.
What was it like to unfurl the tablecloth?
It was a kind of a thrill. You know, I enjoyed it.
That meant a lot to you.
It did. I really, to give it back to the Americans, because it was given to me in the first place. And it was kind of sad to give it up, but I felt that's where it should be, back in the United States, with the American.
So you feel like the story has come full circle now?
Yeah, yeah.
It's neat, isn't it?
And I felt that as much as I wanted to keep the tablecloth, I felt here's where it should be, back with the American.
You don't remember his name, but your son says you remember his face.
I cannot remember the patient's name at all. I wish I could. You know, it's 60 years ago. And I wish I could remember, but I can't.
But you remember what he looked like?
Oh, yeah. If he was here today, I'd see him. As a matter of fact, it seems like when I talk about him that he's right there.
What did he look like?
He was quite young, actually. He was in his probably very early 30s. He's very young. Nice-looking fellow.
And that was a sad thing that you always remembered.
Oh, I remember him so well. He said to me, I know I'm not going to live very long. He said, I want you to promise me something. That's what he said. I said, well, I can't promise you if I don't know what you want. I might not be able to do it. He said, oh, you can do it all right. I said, okay. If you say I can do it, I promise. So he wanted me to promise I'd go and see his wife. After he said, I know I'm only going to live 2 or 3 days. After he died, I went to see his wife, which was, I had to wait till I was discharged, which was about several months before I was discharged from the Army. And then I went from New York to Ohio, where his widow lived. And I went there to see her. Kept the promise.
She gave you the tablecloth.
After she sent me that, she was so pleased. First, she didn't want to see me. She was so upset about her husband dying that she didn't want to see anybody in uniform.
Well, I think the tablecloth is actually quite beautiful. When did you decide that you wanted to give it back?
It was hard to give it up, you know, because when a patient, his wife gave it to me after I did so much for him, you know, and he only lived 3 days. But when she gave it to me, it was hard to give it up. But I felt, I was at that time in the American Army, and I felt it should go back to the Americans. That's why I wanted to give it up.
And have you ever seen his wife since, or talked to her since?
Pardon?
Have you ever seen his wife since?
No, never ever since. I wish I had her. I wrote to her for, several years, and she wrote back to me. And then all of a sudden, her letters were all returned to me. So I don't know what happened to her. I thought maybe she might see all of this in a newspaper or on TV, and she might come forward. I don't know what happened to her. Whether she died or whether she got married, I have no idea.
And at those moments, I'm just trying to imagine what it would have felt like for you to go up to her and tell her and break this
Yeah,
news to her.
it would.
What were you thinking? What was running through your head at that time?
Well, I wish she'd turn up. It would be wonderful.
And
But you know, today, I'm not hearing very good. I don't know what the matter is.
okay,
Having a terrible time.
okay. Do you want me to? I can repeat it. I was just wondering, how did you feel? What were your thoughts in the moments before you broke the news to his wife?
How did I feel before I spoke?
Before you spoke to her, did you have any doubts you were going to be able to tell her? And
I didn't have no doubts. I wanted to do what he asked me to do, and I just went to see her. It was tough, because she didn't want to see anybody in uniform at first, and she was living with her mother on a farm, very poor, and she wouldn't come out when she saw my husband and I in uniform. And I said to the mother, tell her she has to come out. I promised her husband I'd talk to her. So I said, she has to come out, talk to me. So she finally came out. And by this time, she's shedding a few tears, and so am I. It was very emotional. But she was glad that I insisted on talking to her. And that was after that she was so appreciative that she sent me the tablecloth.
well,
So, and I hated to give it up too, but I felt it belonged to the American people.
thank you for sharing your beautiful story with us.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Mom, I want you to meet this young lady here. This is Jessica Stewart, and she's training to be a nurse.
Oh,
So
Hi, it's very
she
nice
wanted
to meet you.
you'll love it, but it's going to be tough.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll tell you that to start.
Yes, ma'am.
I remember when I was training, I had a patient that was a little bit mental, you know, and I was a student. I went into his room to help him, and he jumped out of bed and ran towards the front door, and I thought, I wonder what's happening here. And he didn't know what he was doing, but you just have to put up with some of these things,
Yes.
which I did. It's tough sometimes,
Yes, ma'am.
but you do it, and you overcome,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
feel better.
Yes,
It's a great training, and you'll love it,
Thank you.
but hard work.
Yes, ma'am.
But once you get through and you graduate, then you go to different fields, whatever you feel like the area you'd like to work in.
Yes, ma'am.
And I wanted surgery, so I went down to the Mayo Clinic. It took 4 years of surgical training at the Mayo Clinic.
Did you love it?
Right, oh, loved it, yeah. So I had that when I was overseas, the surgery, quite often. We had patients, like sometimes one nurse had 50 patients
Really?
in England. And then if you worked all day, you might be in bed 2 hours, they wake you up, bring you back on duty. You have maybe 50 more patients coming in that are wounded. So you go around with the doctor and take all the orders, and then fill those orders. Might be medicine, might be medication, might be wounds or dressing.
Yes, ma'am.
But you do it, and it's hard. It's good for you, though. After it's all over, you appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, it's great. You'll love it.
Thank you.
It's tough work,
Yes, ma'am.
but it's easy to carry with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Carry your training. It's not hard. You'll love it.
Thank you.
You just have to, sometimes you be very upset at night, think, oh, can I take any more of this? Just forget it, say, sure, you're strong, you can do anything.
Thank you.
Okay,
It
you're
was
welcome.
really nice meeting you.
Yeah.
absolutely. All you guys just squeeze in. I'll get out of it.
All you have to do is press the camera.
Here. All right.
You probably take, see, we took 3 years. I don't know what you take here. 2 years training, then you have to write your RN exam.
Yes.
And besides that, we had to take a special course in certain areas that you don't get in the general hospital.
And the lens is
Take
actually right by your
special,
ring finger.
which we did.
College is 4.5, and then
You have
after
your- yeah.
that, I have other training like specialization and stuff.
So how long do you train here? 3?
How long do I train for what?
No, for nursing before you get through
4.
4.
Yes, I am.
Oh, we just said 3.
Okay.
But then you take an extra year probably with the extras that you take. So all in all, it would be 4.
Yes, ma'am. I think we have to go now, okay?
But I wish you the best of luck.
Thank
And
you.
don't be discouraged when you have a bad day.
Yes, ma'am.
Just keep it up.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for coming.
Oh, listen, my pleasure.
All right. You take care of yourself.
I will, and you do also.
Thank you.
And I enjoy you girls so much.
Well, thank you. And thank you for leading the way. Channel 7 to doing it
It
for
was
us.
my pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good day.